One of the biggest aspects of solar grazing or solar vegetation management for us was it's a way for ag producer to get involved in this renewable energy space. And one of the biggest barriers to entry in agriculture, as a lot of us know, is access to land. I don't own a big stand of land. I'm probably never going to own a lot of land. So having access to grazing land was really important to me. And when I stumbled into this vegetation management service industry, I realized that this is a key area where new producers, say a veteran that's just come out of the military like myself, or even young new farmer ranchers, this is a way for them to make a good living providing an important service to the renewable energy industry and be able to make a living in agriculture. One of these solar sites is a 30 to 50-year contract. If you do a good job, you could end up with a vegetation management service contract for that entirety of that. That's a generation. We're also going to be bringing veterans in as we grow. Solar Ranch Xperts is growing. We expect a lot of growth in the next 12 to 16 months. We're going to be hiring a lot of folks and bringing a lot of folks on, mentoring them, and then eventually helping them move on to get their own contracts and to spread. There's enough solar out here that all of the ag producers that are interested in working hard and doing a good job for the solar developers is going to have a way to be in agriculture and make a good living and support their family. And that's what we're really excited about.
Me and Brad have known each other for a while, worked side to side on a lot of other projects. And it's just something that we both enjoy, something that we both have excitement about. It's just, we saw a need for something out west with some really intensive type practices involving solar systems. And I come from a background with a lot of government experience through NRCS and the Natural Resource Conservation Service, which allowed me to really understand erosion, plant health, site health, plant quality, just pretty much everything involving the ag side and conservation. And so with his help of being, really smart logistically and contractually and being able to have the outreach and, know people and being able to have conversations with people that I don't know has really helped us kind of get off and allowed us to take it to the next level. We're starting to get our own sites and really starting to be a player in this.
Grazing on solar is kind of a misnomer. The reality is what we're providing is a vegetation management service. It goes well beyond grazing. This isn't free grazing. This is a lot of work. It's a service that we provide, and we kind of have like a big four of our service. It's keeping the shade off the panels, reducing the fire fuel load, improving the soil biology, and then we also are a big part of a community outreach for the solar developer.
Another key idea behind the vegetation management side is to help with erosion on-site and off-site, along with helping desirable plant species be reintroduced and be successful within the grazing areas, trying to eliminate some of the undesirable species with intensive grazing and, rest during the proper time to allow those desirable plants to come back and overall hopefully take over the sites. So when we first initially started this site, it was a pretty much predominantly Johnson grass or a sorghum type grass. And it was kind of a concern of ours because that type of grass is it's fast growing. It's kind of hard to manage. And when we started off, there was a lot of bare ground on this site. And kind of looking around now, there's quite a bit of, your perennial and annual type grasses coming on aside from your grain sorghum or your Johnson grass type plants. And part of the idea behind that is being able to get in here and hit the Johnson grass early on so that it would remove some of the shade, so that some of the seeds bank that was here originally, whether it was from a seed source that they planted or something that was here even before that, was able to have sun and be able to get the right temperature and moisture on it without having to compete with this Johnson grass that was 4 and 5 foot tall when we first started this site. And now we can look around and just standing here, I mean, I see white tridents and some rescue grass, and there's some old world blue stem, and I saw a little bit of Texas winter grass, and I mean, there's even a little bit of vine mesquite over there, I think, that I saw. And so a lot of this native type grass is kind of coming back and rebounding, been able to get the shade off of the, off the seed source that was there from the Johnson grass being shading it out. From my experience, a lot of the solar type, situations, it comes off as like a lot of these people think, like a hands-off approach, or let's spray weeds and whatnot, and over the years, that's going to deplete the soil of all its organic matter, and all the biome and the bugs and stuff and the dirt are gone. And that's where, like when we came in here, it was just straight up Johnson grass. And so with hoof action, being able to disturb the soil, to be able to get that raindrop impact eliminated from just running off, to being able to be absorbed into that top layer of soil. And it's helped a lot on this site. And there hadn't been anything here before livestock wise, and it's definitely made an impact. So I would, in a couple of years, it's not even gonna look the same. It's gonna be incredibly different, especially for plant species and the composition of what's here.
It's kind of like that coming onto a site. If you don't, even the development team might not have the history of how the construction went. So we're kind of coming in blind. We can only see what we see that's expressed. That doesn't mean there isn't something waiting to happen. And I think, that's, down the road, we're looking forward to being involved in the pre-construction phase, where we can have, with an agrivoltaic mindset, with the engineers and the designers, we could have it where we recommend the forages, the native grasses, the things that we really would like to see, that the customer would like to see, that's going to benefit the landowner when the lease is at the end. So 30 years down the road, when the company removes the solar site and it goes back to being a pasture again, we're going to have all those forages established. The soil microbiome is going to be improved by being grazed with sheep or even cattle on some sites. And I think that what we're going to find out down the road is that this style of management is really, when it comes down to it, it's regenerative agriculture. And it's a vegetation management service. We've got to make sure that the solar panels can not be shaded. But, on top of that is what's the legacy of that? This isn't a housing development. In 30 years, it's going to be a pasture again. And we want to make sure that we leave a legacy of an improved pasture. And that's what we're shooting for every day that we work on solar.
So I come from a long line of ranching. My family's been involved in the ag industry, forever. And I had pretty much my whole life been something I knew I was going to be part of. I ended up going to school at ASU, and ended up with a bachelor's degree in animal science with a minor in range and wildlife management. And I took that and had my own operation for several years. Then I decided to go to work for NRCS, which was, kind of the top of the pyramid for, conservation type careers. And went there, was a Rangeland Management Specialist for 7-8 years there, along with some other duties. Then I went from that to being self-employed again. And kind of the idea behind that is I wanted to be able to do more for the ag industry on my side, and some of the other avenues that I was wanting to venture into that wasn't necessarily accessible through NRCS. And it's been fun. We've got a lot of sheep, cows, pretty much any kind of livestock you can imagine, exotics, a little bit of everything. And that's where me and Brad kind of partnered up and just went after trying to go after a career that we thought was going to be around for a while, something that was needed. And my background has really helped understanding, the situations with site prep, being able to get stock on site, being able to identify, hazards with erosion type situations, and, undesirable plant species and soil health and whatnot. So that's where I kind of come from on that side, is just a lifelong background in college and, 10 years total experience with NRCS working with ranchers and a lot of the high intensity grazers and a lot of big names out west in Sterling County where, there's some people like Frank Price that I've got to work with, some big names. And, a lot of those people have been, part of my career path and have really given me ideas and been able to think outside the box and allowed me to see things that you don't see every day just hanging around family and, the old homestead and just doing what's been done forever. So being able to work with NRCS really gave me the eye to be able to see all of that and different operations and all kinds of stuff with them. So it really helped me get my feet off the ground to be able to pursue this and go after it.
I was working on a place right outside of town, outside of San Angelo, and the landowner was talking about putting some solar on the ranch. And I had heard about grazing sheep on solar, and I thought, if somebody else is going to come onto my place and graze sheep, why couldn't I do it? So I had, been real interested in regenerative agriculture for quite a while. And so I had some contacts online that I started hitting them up. I'm like, how do I get involved in this? To be honest with you, I thought it was nothing more than free grazing. Boy, is there a lot more to it. But they were able to point me to the right direction. Marcus Gray and his wife Jess out in Virginia kind of pointed me towards J.R. Howard here in Texas. Just so happened that the American Solar Grazing Association was putting on a certification class for solar grazers. So I signed up for that. It was in Temple, Texas. I attended that course. And before the end of the class, I called my wife. I said, I think we're going to leave the ranch. We're going to do this. We can make a living doing this. We're going to take a chance and we're going to try it. And I right away called Justin. I said, hey, what do you think about this? And we had some real interesting discussions about that. It's a big change. It's not your normal go out and graze your sheep on a pasture. It's really not. There's a whole lot to it. And getting certified through ASGA really opened my eyes up to everything that's involved. And we gave ourselves a goal. We wanted to have a contract within 18 months of getting started. And what was it, about not even 12 months, and we got our first contract. So we were pretty fortunate. And this is a community scale site. So it's way better to make a mistake on a 1 or 2 megawatt site than it is to make a mistake on a 300 megawatt site. So the learning curve is sharp when you get started in this industry. And we were really fortunate to get some good partners. The team over at United Agrivoltaics helped us with the background stuff, the contracting and the bidding and working with the developer. Our partners at UPower Energy, that's who operates this site here. They are super excited about having agrivoltaics, having sheep on their site to manage the vegetation. And they've been really supportive. When we came on, we did a site survey. We took a look at how everything was set up. We had some recommendations. Justin had an eye for a couple things that we needed to change, and UPower worked with us, and we were able to make those changes, and we've been successful. This is the second time we've brought the sheep on to put a graze on the site, and the sheep do a great job here. This site was made for solar grazing, so we're really excited about those relationships and where that's going. And we see that really blossoming into a larger set of solar grazers. We're going to bring other folks in to help us do this at other sites, and it's nothing but up from this point on.